Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
All right, welcome to the New Warehouse Podcast. I am your host, Kevin Lawton. This week, I am joined by the CEO of Raymond Corporation. You may be familiar with them for their red forklifts and fork trucks and powered industrial trucks as well. The CEO's name is Michael Field, also goes by Mike, I believe. So Mike is going to join us. He's going to give us a little bit about his background and how he got involved with Raymond. And he's going to tell us also about Raymond itself, if you guys are not familiar. Hopefully you are. They're pretty prolific in the industry. And then he's going to get into a little bit about what sets Raymond apart and what Raymond is involved in these days. And we're also going to have an interesting discussion about optimization before automation. We've had a lot of episodes on the podcast where we talked about automation and robotics because it's such a large topic within the industry. And this will be an interesting discussion because we're going to talk about optimizing your operation before you head in the direction of automation. So I think it'll be a really interesting take on some of those discussions that we've had previously. So Mike, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Fine, thank you, Kevin. I'm excited for the discussion.
Definitely excited to have you. Raymond is so much all over the industry, and I got to see your big booth at ProMat this past year, and then also, I've gotten to work with your fork trucks as well in a couple of different operations that I've worked in myself. So it's good to be talking to you and I guess hearing from the man himself, right? So why don't you give us a little bit about you and your experience and how you've ended up at Raymond. I think you've been there for about 15 years now, correct?
Yeah, sure thing, Kevin. So I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, so I went to RIT a long time ago, and started out working for a company that made air conditioning systems for a Carrier Corporation. I worked there for a number of years in design and engineering and operations. I went back to school and got an MBA in international studies as well as manufacturing engineering.
Okay.
And ended up working in the automated material handling solutions for semiconductors. And I did that for about 10 years. And we ended up selling the company. It was a seed company for Intel. And then I came to Raymond Corporation as the VP of Engineering. A long history, obviously, here at Raymond of making great products and being intuitive about where the market's going. So I've had a great experience here at Raymond. As you mentioned, it has been about 15 years, and I've moved through a number of different management positions within the company, ending up as president and CEO now.
Okay, great. Really interesting. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Raymond itself, what it is you guys do for those that may have not heard of you, and I guess what you guys are involved with.
So Raymond was really founded in 1922 when George Raymond Sr. bought the company from Lion Iron Works. So the actual basis for the company started before 1900. So it's a very old company making a lot of steel-based products. And George Raymond had this vision of creating a material handling company. and starting with simplistic movement of materials, carts and the like to move materials around, because that was before pallets really existed. So they came up with the bright idea of actually creating a double-sided wooden pallet that was basically a unit module that could be stacked and moved uniformly. And they got a patent for that in 1939, along with a hand pallet, a hydraulic hand pallet, to lift those up and move them around. And uniquely, they decided at that point, George Raymond Sr. decided to give that patent away, free of use, to everyone, so that everybody would start to use the same size pallet. So that's kind of the innovation that occurred in the beginning around thinking about not just what's happening today with moving materials, but what's likely to happen in the future and how to get there. So through a number of years, they started to make electric forklifts and actually had some of the initial patents for electric forklifts that allowed you to both move as well as stack products. It was the basis around which most of the modern racking is now designed, around that original double-sided wooden pallet here in North America. Mm-hmm. And then continued to build out that product set, looking for higher and higher density within the warehousing, going up as well as is out and sideways. So it really has continued to grow and evolve material handling. And our view is that we really want to understand the challenges that customers have and where they're trying to go. And we have kind of three basic tenets for the corporation around innovation, quality, and service. And those three tenets have been there since 1922 and remain core to what we're trying to deliver to our customers today.
Interesting. That's great. So what do you think, from those tenets, and obviously you guys have a history of innovation if you have ties to the invention of the pallet, which kind of makes the forklift go around as well. What do you think sets you guys apart in the market as we see, so many different fork truck providers and more probably coming online as well? How does Raymond set themselves apart besides having that rich, innovative history?
Well, as you mentioned, having that best, highest quality, highest performance forklift is very important, mm-hmm. but it's also very important to understand the utilization of the product and what problem the customer is trying to solve and what their challenges are. So we spend a lot of time looking at that and understanding that, to the point where we invested a lot of time and effort into creating some world-class telematics solutions. And from that, we've gathered a lot of data through that partnership with those customers to help them understand how they're operating. And, one of our mottos is around helping our customers run better and manage smarter through the use of data and other techniques.
And that's through the iWarehouse platform?
Yes, we call it the iWarehouse platform. And that iWarehouse platform has evolved over time. It started as a telematics solution, mm-hmm. And now has grown into many other tool sets to allow our customers to understand their challenges better and also get to some root causes and opportunities for improvement.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Definitely. And I got to say, from personal experience, I love iWarehouse because no more paper checklist. Less paper to print.
No more paper checklists are really important for a number of reasons. No more pencil whipping, all of those things. You actually get some useful data. But beyond that, it really allows the supervisors as well as the executives of a given company to understand what's happening, understand the operation of the products and opportunities for training of operators to improve their use of forklifts.
Definitely. I think it definitely helps the operation understand through the data how to further improve and optimize, which we'll talk about in a little bit too. But it's so key, especially in the distribution climate now where everything is expected to just move so quickly, and service levels are just extremely high in terms of expectation. So being able to just improve that little bit by seeing as much data as possible and being able to digest it through a platform like iWarehouse, I think is a huge key to many operations.
Yeah, it really allows our customers to own what's happening in the warehouse, not just kind of manage it. So they can really dig into the areas for opportunity for improvement. We've also, gotten into areas around data security and managing that data flow. And as you mentioned, having data is one thing, but having insights and information and directions that you can glean from the data is much more important, and is what allows, the 7x24 operation you need in an e-commerce driven world that we have now.
Definitely. So you talked a little bit about, how iWarehouse has evolved. But how would you say that you've seen the forklift industry as a whole kind of evolve in your last 15 years with Raymond? I'm sure you've seen a lot of change.
Yeah, so it's becoming more global in some ways because some customers are becoming more global. The suppliers of material handling equipment now are much more than just forklift-based. Obviously, there's more than pallet-based. There's caseload-based. There's down to eaches of the picking and shipping process. So, we've all seen it happen. And, if you think back 15 years ago, you spent most of your time going to a store and you were the material handler from the shelves to your house. Now, many of those steps are supplied by the large e-tailers out there. So all of those moves need to be orchestrated, and there's a cost to that, and they need to manage that cost to a minimum, and the expectations for immediate response and quick delivery and accuracy are higher than they've ever been.
Definitely, yeah, and I think we see that from all sides of the industry, and obviously moving the product is one of the biggest things that we have to do within our industry. So it's good that the forklift industry is evolving, and Raymond is helping to evolve it as well as we get to these higher level expectations and try to optimize as much as possible. So a lot of things that people do in terms of trying to adjust or adapt and succeed in this newer climate, this more fast-paced and higher demand climate, is they quickly kind of lean to automation. But Raymond is having this concept of optimizing before you automate. And I think for a lot of people in the industry, there's a question of when should I automate? Or do I need automation to survive? And I think that the idea of optimizing before automation is something that some people are missing because so much automation is being pushed out and I guess put in front of them. I mean, if you look at ProMat itself, I mean, everywhere you look, there's some type of automation or robotic that's out there. So can you explain a little bit about Raymond's idea of optimization before automation and what the concept is?
Sure. The concept is really, as you mentioned, around all of the different possible automation solutions there are out there now. many of them being offered by startup companies, really are focused on the act of automating a process. My experience, as well as our organization's experience on the manufacturing side, of the process of making forklifts, we learned a long time ago that automating a bad process just makes you make bad things faster. So, we really don't want to proliferate a bad process if you don't truly understand it and own it and understand the triggers or the key variables in that process. So really our view is born to a degree of our lean management TPS production system in our manufacturing facilities around really owning your process and really understanding it, working at improving it, continuous improvement, bringing in the tenets of lean management to visualize your process. All of that requires data, which we happen to have with iWarehouse, and really setting the stage for getting everyone in the company involved in understanding the business at a very core level, and then getting to root cause and starting to improve. Once you do that, then you can make good decisions around capital investments for automation around where the value is or which constraint you're trying to improve upon to automate, so that you get the returns and the paybacks that we're seeing now with our courier products and some of our automated solutions that are months, not multiple years of return, so that you really can manage your labor better or help the associate work better with some aids within a process rather than full automation.
Definitely. I agree. I mean, I think that, a lot of people think that they need to automate right away. But like you said, and I like what you said, where, if you take a bad process and you automate it, you're just doing something bad faster, right? But, it may be something simple, like you mentioned, looking at it in a continuous improvement way. You may be looking at automation when really maybe you just need to adjust the position of something within your facility, and it may make a huge difference for you. So how does Raymond, I guess, help the customer to optimize? And do you have any examples of where Raymond has helped someone out like that?
Yeah, it's happening every day in our processes, especially, as I mentioned, with the iWarehouse data set. Yeah. We have a team of people, both in corporate as well as at our sales and service centers, that go out and help the customer understand their data set that's coming from their actual forklifts, that's coming through iWarehouse, that helps them visualize individual operator opportunities for improvement, process flows that don't seem to make sense. Mm-hmm. We have a bunch of new products coming around real-time locating systems, which we call the Raymond Tracking and Location System, that helps you visualize where are the materials moving within the facility, where are the forklifts moving within the facility, who's on the forklift, should they be in that area, do we have traffic congestion issues, we can look at heat maps. So we can do a lot of things to help a given warehouse or distribution center, again, visualize what the current state is, improve that, and then say, okay, do we want to take some of that labor asset or the associates that are working in this area and move them to another area where they could help a different constraint? And is there an opportunity then to put an automated vehicle into some of those very predictable processes that don't have high variability needs and throughput, that automation is really well fit for that application, versus an operation that has lots of hot picks and other things that you really need, a fiscal operator to go and make good decisions and have his role set and be able to scale up and scale down in seconds, not, at the speed of resetting an automated path or anything else.
I like that because I think that, especially as distribution centers and facilities grow in size and we look at, 1 million, 2 square feet, and we get really, really big, going back to continuous improvement lean philosophy, there's a lot of travel time, and travel is like one of the biggest wastes. So being able to see that data, like you said, in a heat map and kind of see where is the most travel occurring, that could give you a lot of ideas, like you mentioned, in terms of how can you change things, even, before you get to automation, and optimize in terms of maybe you have certain product that's in a location that's getting traveled to very often, but the ultimate point where it's ending up is very far away. So can you move that product? Is there an opportunity to do that? So that data and insight, I think, is really a great thing that you guys are putting out there to help operations improve. And I like that even though you guys sell automated products, you're willing to work with the customer to help them understand where they can optimize first. And I think that's really noble of you guys, of course. And I think that really helps to strengthen customer relationship too, because you guys want to obviously grow together for a long time with their fleet and future fleets. But I think that the data, like you said, is a big key to making that happen and being able to optimize and visualize. So really interesting to hear that. And so at what point do you think, I guess, if you're looking at optimization, at what point do you think one of your customers or an operation in general can say, like, okay, I've optimized? Obviously, you can never optimize to the maximum. But if I've optimized to the point where I think now my next step is automation, when do you think an operation can reach that point?
It really depends on the operation and the data set. If an original design for a particular picking operation was done, some period of time ago, and they've never reset the pick faces to deal with new SKUs that were added and the like, it can be right away. We have an offering around second level order picking that allows you to pick from 2 levels that really can be an optimization and get much more pick face density within an overall process. But if you haven't placed those SKUs in the right order or the location, or your pick list system isn't set up correctly, it's not going to help you. You're gonna, as you mentioned, you're going to spend too much time traveling and not enough time picking. And really, that's really what that optimization to automation discussion is about, is understanding what order we need to do things in and maximizing that pick time for the associate versus the kind of non-value added travel time of delivering that full pallet off to shrink wrap and lane building and the like.
Definitely, I agree. So now we're talking about, optimizing and then looking at automation afterwards. And obviously automation is kind of I think it's inevitable in terms of the future, along with robotics in our industry. But what does the future of Raymond look like? I know one thing that I saw from you guys, which was recently, I think this year, came out, was the virtual reality training. And I think that's awesome. And it's kind of an automation of the training, but it's obviously a lot safer than throwing somebody out there on a truck in real time. But why don't you talk to us a little bit about, I guess, how that came about, and then I guess talk to us about what the future of Raymond looks like as well.
Yeah, so the future of Raymond is kind of here now. We have products that are what I would call enhancing automation, like zoning and positioning, that allows an operator to move from pick face to pick face at the optimized method as quickly as possible, lifting and traveling at the optimum approach right now. And that kind of is the first step of that. And as we look further into that next level of automation, it's which of those processes are going to add the most value. And it's interesting that you brought up training, because it is one of our core beliefs that, training really helps the associates do all of the right things at the right time in the best possible way. And so we've spent a lot of time on e-learning. Now, the penultimate solution there is our VR trainer, but there's a lot of e-learning modules that allow an operator to both visually as well as auditorily understand the process that they're learning about, or the truck driving that they're learning about, or different feature sets. So, we really took on that challenge of VR, along with this overall view that we probably can add value to the training experience of a given customer's organization. And that, again, is around that optimize before you automate. The full VR experience is really, as you mentioned, targeted at helping operators very quickly understand how a forklift works. The controls that Raymond products have feel and look a lot like joysticks and other multi-function handle operations that a lot of the gamers out in the world are using already, and we've been doing that for a very long time. And so we kind of put those, some of our young engineers kind of put two and two together and said, how do we do this? This could be really cool if we could, set up the operating system of the truck with a simulation port on it, such that we just basically plug in a single cable, and all of the operator interfaces on the truck work as they're supposed to. But suddenly, you put on a VR headset, and you move the handle, and the truck feels as you're experiencing it visually and auditorily, like the product is moving, it's lifting, it's turning, it's backing up, all of those different pieces. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, that really helps with that experience of determining if somebody is going to be a good fit for driving a forklift in the first place, because you can experience, man-up operation on an order picker, so you're high up in the air, and you can understand if someone is going to feel comfortable in that job function, along with helping them experience, some of those other circumstances that can happen in a warehouse with aisle contention and pedestrian interaction. So just making sure that people can get to see those in virtual space before they have to encounter them in real world driving.
Definitely. I think the virtual reality is an amazing idea and concept that you guys brought to life. I think it's really smart from a safety standpoint and training standpoint. I mean, to your point, I've been in situations where we bring in a temp from a temp agency, and they come when, say, they have experience with forklift, and so you put them on the forklift, observe, and they're asking you which is the right thing to do now, and you're kind of like I'm not sure if I want to let you out there. So the virtual reality, I mean, is a great way not only for training, but then also to test new hires as well, to make sure that they are I guess as familiar with machines as they say they are. So definitely kudos to you guys for putting that together and putting that product out in the market. So what else is going on with Raymond right now? We're kind of wrapping up here. So is there anything else that we should know about Raymond?
So we're continuing to obviously evolve our solutions. There's numbers of areas to grow within the iWarehouse platform, which is more than just a telematics platform at this point. Relative to the virtual reality simulator, we have an awful lot of driving habit data from iWarehouse that can then be tied back to, okay, yes, you have been here for 4 or 5 years driving forklifts, but maybe it's been a different type of truck. And we need to train you and certify you on a new truck or a different type of truck. And we have the ability to do that asset management and help people understand, who has been trained on what, when is their training due, do they need more training because of impact histories as they're going about their business. So that's one area that's continuing to grow. As I mentioned, the RTLS solution as well is another layer of information that you didn't have before that helps you with that optimization, that helps you at an individual level with not a punishing view, but a very much an improvement view and opportunities for better solutions from an overall standpoint within your warehouse or distribution center. It also gives you the opportunity to look across facilities. So if a given customer has facilities across the country or across the world, we can aggregate that data and show, different operating habits in different locations and how can we bring all of those different locations up a notch to best in class everywhere. So there's just so many opportunities on that front, including, energy storage. So we've added energy storage to some of the solutions that we're delivering now because of the advent of lithium ion and fuel cells. The type of energy storage is different. It acts and operates a little differently, and it has an opportunity to be optimized in a way that lead acid is not. At the same time, we have iBattery solutions within that iWarehouse product line that helps you manage those batteries better, and can even create a virtual battery room for you. So there's just so many different opportunities that we have now for our products as we go forward. But more importantly, it's for our customer and taking it back to that innovation, quality, and service. How do we deliver upon that promise now and well into the future? So we want to be a partner. We don't want to have a transactional relationship. We want to help our customers continuously run better and manage smarter.
Definitely. I definitely see that. And I think that, all the things you're saying with the ability to harness that data in all different ways, especially, the way you said, if you have multiple buildings throughout the country or, the world even maybe, and how you can take the data from all of them and kind of put them together and almost have some type of learning from looking at maybe an operation that's operating a little more efficiently than the other, and look at those things and kind of have a shared learning. I think that really can help you boost your network overall as a whole from an operational standpoint. So it's really great that you guys provide such a solution for people to be able to do that and kind of harness that data and put it in some type of digestible format. Because, calling back to earlier in the discussion when you're talking about, having that data, but having a good way to look at it. Data is only so useful if you know how to use it, right? And putting it in a way that's easily digested, I think, is the best way to be able to use it and make those decisions based off the data. So, Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show. How can the listeners find out more about Raymond and see some of your product offerings as well?
Well, definitely RaymondCorp.com. You can see a lot on the website. You can also, from that, find your local dealer, a sales and service center to help you with this journey towards optimization before you automate.
Okay, great. And Mike, thank you so much for being on the New Warehouse podcast, and we'll definitely post more information about Raymond and Mike as well on thenewwarehouse.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. It was a pleasure.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.